future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
All right, welcome to Truth Be Told with Tony and Dean. It's the Monday edition. We want to welcome you guys to Truth Be Told right here on Universal Broadcasting Network. I'm Tony Sweet.
And I'm Dean Ryan. And Tony, this is a big show today.
How big is it, Dean?
It's so big that we got to start with this news right away with our newsman, Captain Ron, because... There's that live band we have. But no, folks, you're in for a real show today. If you know all the things that have been going on the past few days with the Hillary Clinton collapsing at 9/11.
No, I didn't know that.
Some people say that there's a body double being used and all these kind of crazy things that are conspiratorial. We're going to tackle here today with our special guest that's going to be coming up in a few minutes. Researcher Jim Fetzer.
That's going to be great.
Professor James Fetzer. But let's get to Captain Ron. What is going on?
Yeah, let's take a look at this. Let's see what started off. They were saying that Trump was actually Googled more often than Hillary was. Then the 9/11 event happened when she fell or whatever getting into the car. Mm-hmm. And now it's all about Hillary. They said Google this week, Hillary searches are 80 to 20% Trump. 80% Hillary.
Does it say exactly what they're searching?
Yeah, it's these conspiracy theories.
Okay.
There's just a plethora of different conspiracy theories. I'm going to touch on a few of them here. I'm leaving out, there's 20 more that are even more insane than these.
Number one. Are we doing like a Dave Letterman
No,
thing
we're
here?
not.
Oh,
we're
okay.
not. We're just going to talk about a couple of them.
Okay.
One of them right now that they're talking about is they're saying she's wearing an earpiece. Have you seen this?
I have not, but we're showing a picture right now for the people that are listening to the podcast.
That is an earpiece.
And MSNBC actually edited it out.
Really?
And people can look into that.
NYPD sources involved with the NBC Forum security detail, they said she was concealing an earpiece in her ear. That's how it started when she did the Matt Lauer show. And since then, it's really been explained.
Maybe it's a hearing aid.
And then Donald Trump Jr., he tweeted out the other day that is she wearing an earpiece? So he's paying attention to that, which is an interesting
All right, let
thing.
me ask. I'm going to throw this out there. What's the difference between an earpiece and a teleprompter?
Well, teleprompters...
But what?
Well, I don't know.
No, I'll answer that
Okay,
because
go for it. I'm curious.
She was asked a question, and you can't read your answer's not on a teleprompter.
Right.
But if you have someone giving you the answers in
All
your
right.
earpiece,
That makes sense.
Right, someone could be standing with an iPhone off stage. You
Yeah.
could say, what's the fastest land mammal? The cheetah.
Exactly.
You know, I mean...
Well, Tony's a cheater.
Cheetah.
Excuse me. All right,
Cheetah.
Okay.
All right.
Cheetah. Continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so then that was one of them. Then there's another one that she might have Parkinson's or possibly even a head injury complication, just by her crazy appearance on some of these. They said that WikiLeaks founder says they have footage, when she stumbles
Julian Assange.
Yeah.
Okay.
He on his site, they were talking about how she stumbles prior to collapsing, dragging the foot, unresponsive, suggests a lack of consciousness before she goes in the van, being dragged on unresponsive legs. Mm-hmm. This could be Parkinson's related, they think. I mean, who knows? But that's one of the things. The other one's that coughing. We've seen her cough 100 times. She coughed for 4 minutes in Cleveland where she couldn't stop coughing. Mm-hmm. So she's got the coughing
pollen.
thing.
The pollen.
That's what she says, but that's what she said. But who knows what that really is? And then there's the hole in the tongue conspiracy. Have you seen this about the hole in the tongue? What is that all about? They haven't really. That's kind of gross, but
Yeah, I know what it is, but
I've seen
it was
young
a piercing.
kids do it.
It's a piercing, right?
Yeah.
she's not a young kid.
Of course, there's the big cover up that she covered up the Benghazi attack.
Rhymes with bifilus.
There you
All
go.
right, continue.
How about the Benghazi attack?
How about that?
She's been talking about that since 2012. I mean, you guys know that.
She
whole
tries
story,
to,
right? She
I know what happened.
denies that whole thing.
Deny.
Deny. Then, if you Google this, now, in an effort to stay off of this list, I'm not going to go into too much detail here.
Okay.
But a quick search, if you Google, like, people who have died that have been near the Clintons, just like they had mysterious deaths or disappearances. You could find lists of 50 to 90 people.
Dang, that's a lot.
That like worked in their house or were
Wow.
employed by them or worked
Creepy.
near them or whatever. You know, it's just like one of those things. Smoke, there's fire. You know, there's a lot. There's not 3 people that went missing. You know, that were close to them. There's like 90, depending on what list
You're
you
part
look
of
at,
the
so.
vast right-wing conspiracy.
I'll let people look that up themselves online and see what they think.
We report, you decide.
And then another conspiracy theory floating out there now is that she's got a body double.
Right.
That started on Twitter and Reddit. They're saying that, you know, that 1 minute she collapsed, got on the van, couldn't even hold up her weight.
Uh-huh.
Next minute she walks out of the thing.
And
An hour later,
that's one thing it did. She walks out. Like, hey, I'm like, wow, that's
And
a
not
quick
even like,
recovery.
oh, I'm not feeling well. Hi. She's just like rock and roll.
Yeah.
She's taking pictures with kids and stuff.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing to think about.
Apparently, she started doing lunges, too. Just got really physical.
Now, that I haven't seen.
Yeah, I saw that.
You have any footage of that, Tony?
It's on the iPhone.
Okay.
I just haven't released it yet. All right. So this is getting crazy, Tony. I don't know. I was creeped out. I had a nightmare about Hillary Clinton before today or last night and Joe Biden.
Was that a sexual dream?
No, they were trying to kill me. They were trying to kill. What kind of dreams do you think I have?
Hey, I don't know.
You know what?
It can go
I want
anywhere.
to change this show into something else. But anyways, we got a big guest. I know he's online right now. And Tony, what is it? We want to tell the audience to call in. If you're listening live right now,
you're
we
listening
want to
live?
hear from you. You got questions about this. This thing has gone viral. So much to the point USA Today is actually having to cover this. So let's give that number, and then we're going to introduce our guests in a minute.
All right, so the number to call in is 323-284-7826 if you want to call and talk to us and our guest, 323-284-7826. And I think we do have our guest on the phone if you want to introduce him.
Great.
please.
So the guest we're going to bring on here, this is Professor James Fetzer. He's one of the leading researchers in America. You might know his work from his Sandy Hook research, his 9/11 research, but more importantly, he's one of the lead researchers on what is going on here with Hillary Clinton and the. Is she dead? Is she alive? Are there body doubles? God knows what. So let's
Is it
get
Weekend at Bernie's? What is it?
Is it Weekend at Hillary? So let's get to the bottom of this. James, Mr. Fetzer, welcome to Truth Be Told.
Hey, I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
This is going to be a great show, and we are so honored to have you on the show. I know you have done such great research over the years, and that's why when Dean said you're going to be on the show, I was so excited. So, Dean, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to wish him to the show.
Right. So, Jim, where do we start on this? Let's start from the beginning. Hillary has a coughing attack about a week or so ago and says she's allergic to Donald Trump, and it's the pollen. And then the 9/11 memorial in New York happens, and she fumbles over. Is it really just a little case of pneumonia and bee pollen, or is there something greater to this picture that we can tell our audience of what's really going on?
Her medical history is replete with problems that extend back probably 10 years. The striking ones included her fall and concussion in December of 2012, which led to her resignation as Secretary of State in February 2013. Even Bill said that it took her 6 months to recover, but it doesn't appear that she ever actually has. We have a whole history of events. When you put them together, it's fairly staggering. She freezes up at a rally. There's this big black guy comes over, tells her to keep talking, pushes away the Secret Service. We have other photos of him carrying what appears to be an auto injection pen for diazepam in case she has a seizure. She has this bobblehead experience when talking with reporters in a hallway that she tries to pass off as a result of having a cold beverage. I mean, what was stunning about that wasn't just the experience itself, but that she had evidently had so many of these experiences that she was able to fob it off, giving a phony explanation. Her health condition has been deteriorating. The best analyses appear to indicate that she's in the advanced stages of Parkinson's. I was on today with Bill Deagle, who's himself a physician and a really stunning guy. And he is convinced, on the basis of the evidence I've been describing and a host of other factors, that in fact it is stage 4 Parkinson's.
Now, continuing, people will say, well, she went to her daughter Chelsea's apartment and she came out within a few hours. She seemed to be fine. Is there something more to that picture? I mean, she seemed to look okay. If everyone's watching like CNN, the most trusted name in news, that she seemed to be okay. Is there something more that we're not seeing there?
Oh, quite a lot. Yeah, both inside and out, because it's a violation of protocol for the Secret Service not to take one of those they're protecting immediately to a medical facility. What most people do not know is that Chelsea's new apartment is on the 4th floor at 21 East 26th Street, New York 10010, which also is the address for MetroCare Home Service Incorporated.
Really?
If you go online, you'll find they claim to be closed, but they keep their announcement up for historical reasons. It appears the Clinton Foundation bought the whole floor.
Wow.
In order for Hillary to have an intensive care unit available that could be concealed or camouflaged by visiting Chelsea. Chelsea's move itself was very odd because she had a very nice apartment in New York, and making this switch really didn't add up until you put together that it actually gives Hillary intensive care. Now, we don't for a fact know that she was actually taken there, but we do know that someone emerged a couple hours later who was in strikingly good health. She turns out to be 6 inches shorter than Hillary. She weighs 35 to 40 pounds less. She's at least 10 years younger. She's vivacious, limber. I tend to refer to her as the Meg Ryan Hillary because she's so much like her. And what is terribly striking about her emergence is also that she was not covered with her Secret Service detail. She did not have her medical handler. Not only that, but while she's there, and remember, she's supposed to be suffering from pneumonia, a little girl comes up to her and she bends over and talks to her. Well, this little girl is not just any little girl.
Who's that little girl?
Because when the Pope was here, the same little girl was handed up to the Pope. So this appears to be a little girl who's a child actress.
Really? So it's like a crisis actress, if you will.
This is not Hillary Clinton. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. And there's a wonderful image where you have her beside Hillary, and it says, "We can all breathe a sigh of relief. Hillary's body double is in good health." And that's the message there. Now, many of us who are following this closely were struck when that evening, WABC TV in New York, big station, announced that Hillary had died. It turns out the WABC station in the District of Columbia in D.C. made the same announcement. And I have been told by someone who received it that Chuck Todd, actually of Meet the Press, NBC, tweeted at 9:50 that Hillary was dead. The time of her demise apparently being 9:12. Now, that was all very, very odd in and of itself, but it seems now, as of today, that Hillary is actually alive. But this is not the only body double they have used. They had another on the flight to Greensboro, and I thought it was utterly fascinating. This woman came out, and she didn't look that much like Hillary if you knew what to look for. And I have a series of photographs we may be able to show, one of which is especially striking. So I think of this as the Meryl Streep Hillary, because she looks a whole lot more like Meryl Streep than she does like Hillary Clinton.
She does. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, she looks very Kramer versus Kramer, Meryl Streep kind of character. Tony, did you see that? I mean, it's a little younger version.
It is. It does look very like a younger version.
She's taller, thinner, younger. She has the wrong nose. Jeff Rentz, who's done a huge amount of this. I've done actually 4 shows, I think, since last Monday, with Jeff about this very issue. Says it's a double by the nose. But the fact is, there are many other indications. She has a smooth neck. Hillary has a lot of wrinkles in her neck. In fact, Hillary has a lot of wrinkles that this double doesn't have. More strikingly, is that Hillary has two moles, right, on the right side on her above her upper lip and just below her lower lip, and the double has neither of those two moles. I mean, we're clearly dealing with doubles. I mean, this is not conspiracy theory. This is simply the fact of the matter. This is conspiracy fact, if you will.
Jim, I want to ask you a question. This is Tony, by the way. I want to ask you a question because if the case is this is a body double, and let's just say Hillary did die, and the body double is continuing the campaign, doesn't mean the body double is as smart or as articulate as Hillary, or is this body double to that level? Because Hillary, is a great debater. She's sharp and all this stuff. So can you talk about that?
Sure. By the way, when we had those reports of Hillary having died, which were rapidly suppressed, we spent a fair amount of time speculating whether they would have the nerve to go forward with a double. And when on the Greensboro plain, this second, the Meryl Streep double showed up, it looks as though that was going to be their play. But today now, it appears we have the real Hillary out and about, that she's talking very slowly. She seems to be very doped up. I mean, listen, there have been several medical experts who've reviewed a record and predicted she has less than a year to live. Deagle did that, but a professor of medicine has done it. And, it's strange to have spent so much time on this, but I've spent a huge amount of time on this. And the question becomes, how brazen an act is it for the Hillary Clinton campaign, for the president of the United States to be floating body doubles out to mislead the American people into thinking, for example, on the afternoon of 9/11, that she was very fit, very limber, very spry, very charming. This was the charming Hillary Clinton. The woman on the plane now, this Meryl Streep type, is a bit more serious. She doesn't have the charm of the Meg Ryan double. But she, if you didn't know Hillary, you could be taken in. If you're looking at comparisons, and I've got several now on my blog at jamesfetzer.blogspot.com, entitled, "Will the Real Hillary Clinton Please Stand Up?" And I mentioned particularly that it's on my blog because around Monday or Tuesday, The Hill had an article about Hillary that invited me to post. So I put up an article. The Hill, by the way, being an insider's inside website, it's about what goes on Capitol Hill. It's usually a very responsible website. So I put up one about Hillary and how this woman was clearly a double, 6 inches shorter, 35, 40 pounds lighter, at least 10 years younger. And they took it down. So I went back and I posted again. I said, now the Hill's integrity is at stake here. And I reiterated my description. I mean, there's nothing debatable about it if you actually study the evidence. And they took it down again. So I put up a third, and I said the Hill is an op, and I went and explained why now that this was a third time I sought to post this. And this time, rather to my astonishment, they left it up. But let me tell you what the Hill has done. Apparently, I mentioned my website, will the real Hillary Clinton please stand up, at jamesfetzer.blogspot.com. They've created a blog or article of their own with the same title. And because they have poll with Google or whatever, if you were to just enter the name of the article, will the real Hillary Clinton please stand up? Although mine has Hillary Clinton in quotes and theirs does not, you'll get the Hill's article, which is a feeble attempt to distract attention. I mean, look, the proof is right here on my blog. If you go to will the real Hillary Clinton please stand up at jamesfetzer.blogspot.com. You can see the photographs I've been talking about. We even have, so many people are interested in this. I even have a wonderful person in Belgium who sent me a comparison of the ears between the Meg Ryan double and Hillary, and the ears are not the same. Those who are familiar with the subject realize that ears are just as distinctive as fingerprints. So this is getting out there. I was really astonished that USA Today would publish an article about it because, it's unavoidable once you look at the evidence. There just isn't any doubt about it. There's so many of these complex and controversial issues where until you look at the evidence, you cannot believe it. So much of the public believes that somebody died, that 20 children and 6 adults died at Sandy Hook. Well, the school was closed in 2008. It was loaded with asbestos and other bio.
Let's get back to that a little later. But Ron, I know you had a question.
I did. Professor, I was going to ask you, it's one thing when Roosevelt was running, 75 years ago, they tried to cover up him being in a wheelchair and everything like that.
Polio.
That's pretty easy to do back in that day without the internet, without everybody having a camera and all that nonsense. But today, Hillary's on a 4K camera nowadays. And, now you walk into a casino, they know who you are because they can do facial recognition.
I know, it's great, isn't it?
It's amazing. But don't you think that with that technology out there, somebody be able to definitively come up with this right now? Or kind of, with a 4K camera or facial recognition or something?
This isn't even subtle. It's not even a close call. The woman is so much thinner. I'm talking now about the Meg Ryan. She's so much thinner. Hillary has a considerable girth. This woman is trim, slim, really animated, a lot like Meg Ryan. Take from You've Got Mail, right? I mean, I'm talking, I'm a big fan. I think Meg Ryan's fantastic.
Me too.
This woman who was used as the double reminded me as Meg Ryan. It's not Hillary Clinton. And when you compare them, it's obvious. The woman on the plane, again, she's too tall. She's too slender. She has the wrong facial features. This is the Meryl Streep version. But now it has been confirmed by voice analysis. And I believe, Dean, I sent you a 3-minute tape. These are 2 conversations with Anderson Cooper. And if you're able to play it, I think everyone will see exactly what I'm talking about. One is before her collapse. The other is after. Do you have that available?
I think we're going to look for that. And I think what you're talking about is when Hillary Clinton actually calls Anderson Cooper right after her collapse. Was that the same night, Jim, that she called?
I don't believe it was the same night.
Like the day after.
Yeah.
Do we have
that? But let me just describe what this reveals, and it's been confirmed by a totally independent analysis.
Sure.
In the first call, you have the high-pitched, scratchy voice of Hillary Clinton. It's actually rather unpleasant. In the second, you have a much deeper, smoother voice, which is actually very nice. I mean, it's like reassuring. So, I mean, you're talking about 2 completely different voices.
Couldn't that be her pneumonia and all her allergies and all those things that would affect your voice, right?
Yeah, but we've had more has been done on it. Look, you can try to dismiss it. I'm telling you, these are completely different persons. I mean, I don't see a point for skepticism when the evidence is so blatant here. The question is, how could they think they would pull it off?
That's what I think with the technology and the 4K cameras in her face.
But I think that the investment in Hillary as a candidate.
Sure. Jim, let's actually come back to that. We got the link ready, the tape. We're going to play that for the audience.
Okay, good.
So they have a little bit a clue of what we're talking about. So let's play the clip from Hillary Clinton calling into Anderson Cooper. Within the 24-hour period of her collapsing.
So these are 2 different phone calls.
Okay, 2 different phone calls.
Collapse, the second is after.
All right, let's play that right now.
Oh, Anderson, it reminds me of that great saying that Maya Angelou had, that when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And Donald Trump has shown us who he is. And we ought to believe him. He is taking a hate movement mainstream. He's brought it into his campaign. He's bringing it to our communities and our countries. And, someone who's questioned the citizenship of the first African-American president, who has courted white supremacists, who's been sued for housing discrimination against communities of color, who's attacked a judge for his Mexican heritage and promised a mass deportation force, is someone who is, very much peddling bigotry and prejudice and paranoia. I will have more to say about this tomorrow when I give a speech in Reno.
Well, Thank you very much for calling in. There's a lot of folks who are very worried about you. How are you feeling?
Oh, thank you, Anderson. I'm feeling so much better, and obviously I should have gotten some rest sooner. I probably would have been better off if I'd just pulled down my schedule on Friday, but like a lot of people, I just thought I could keep going forward and power through it, and obviously that didn't work out so well.
Let me ask
All
you,
right, let's
your
cut the tape
husband
right there.
said tonight in an
I think that's a good example. Jim, I got to be honest with you. I didn't hear those before we went on air today, and I got to be very honest with you. It sounds like two entirely different people.
I know.
I mean,
This is
I'm creeped out right
I
now.
I couldn't rehear it when you just replayed it now.
We played,
there's even-
we
there's
played
even
both
been-
of them, and I'm a little creeped out. The hair on my arm standing up.
It's just a phone call, though. It's not. You don't even need a body double. That could have been some woman that sounds like her.
Yeah,
not,
well, that
not
makes
the
it a
someone that
voice-
looks. That could be a
makes it a
third one.
voice-
I started a new conspiracy.
Call it a voice double if you want.
There you go. I do
think
want.
it's embodied.
I
The
mean-
point is they're faking people pretending to be Hillary who aren't Hillary.
Right.
And I taught logic for 35 years. It's a principle of identity that for two names or descriptions to be referring to the same person, they have to have all and only the same properties at all and only the same times when you're talking about physical objects rather than abstract things. Abstract things like numbers, where the number 2 is the same as the square root of 4 is the cube root of 8. That number, abstract objects have the same properties everywhere forever, eternally. They never change. Human beings, however, grow, change, develop, go this place, that place. They're not always in the same location at the same time. Unless you could ascribe a 6-inch drop in height and a 35 to 40 loss in weight and a 10-year loss in apparent age, the woman coming out of Chelsea's apartment is not Hillary Clinton. And the same thing can be said for the woman on the plane to Greensboro. She is not. She does not have the same nose. She does not have the same slope to the forehead. Her facial features generally are different. She's missing the 2 moles. She's taller and thinner than Hillary. I mean, I say, these are really good tries, and they appear to have had quite a few years to contemplate the problem they were up against, because I suspect that Hillary's diagnosis of Parkinson has been long known to those who are inside, inside.
In fact, that's what I was going to ask you because, my father, who I believe, we all believe that he's in the first stages of Parkinson's. And so, we all can see the signs. So apparently they've had to know about this if this is what she has, Parkinson's, especially if she's stage 4. So my question is, logically, like somebody you said, trying to be logic, why would somebody saying, you're diagnosed with stage 4, you only have a certain amount of years left and you probably won't even fulfill 4 years of presidency. Why would she want to even run and put herself through this and then just let herself, go out to pasture and
right.
just relax for the last few years of her life? Why would she do this?
Well, this isn't a question of logic at all. It's a question of psychology and politics. And the fact is that, the Clintons have been acquiring power and wealth for many, many years. They took advantage of Hillary's role as Secretary of State in order to play games politically where they were taking, big contributions to the Clinton administration and then giving them benefits. Wayne Madsen had a sensational list of about 50 cases. One of the most striking is that the Commonwealth of Australia gave $75 million to Hillary Clinton for strong State Department support for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which stands to be a boon for Australian multinational firms. But I mean, look, I'm looking at 50 of these, and they're huge amounts. Sweden Kingdom, 7,200,000. Sulzon Energy, over 5 million. Emirate of Qatar, 5 million. Sultanate of Oman, 5 million. Kingdom of Norway, 89,600,000. And Wayne Madsen just enumerates them all. Now, what that means is, just as we know that prostitutes provide sexual favors for money, Hillary has been providing political favors for money, which in my judgment makes Hillary a political prostitute.
Jim, we got to do a hard break, and we want to come back, and we want to take some calls if you're open to that, and get some questions from the audience. Also, maybe if you can address too the hole in the tongue. If people have seen the photo, how that could be linked to syphilis, which Parkinson's.
Well, it could be, but we think it's probably cancer of the tongue.
It could be. So, but let's address those when we come back. We're going to take a hard break here on Truth Be Told, and we're going to come back with this pressing exclusive story. And by the way, subscribe to this channel because only here are you ever going to see this kind of
That's right.
banter. So we'll be back.
2 and 2. Do you suffer from anxiety, from depression, maybe even chronic pain? Well, listen up. Truth Be Told is going to tell you about a breakthrough program built on over 100 years of therapies used in America's returning veterans to help you successfully overcome PTSD, anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. The secret proven in study after study. Music therapy. The effects of music are nothing short of amazing. From strokes to PTSD, music has been shown to improve the quality of life. Now, one of the latest music therapy programs being used in America's veteran hospitals can be yours to experience for free at home and to help your own anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. Or just relax after a hard day. It's called Whole Tones. It takes music therapy to a new level. This revolutionary program makes use of specifically designed frequencies that have been shown to stimulate your body's natural healing power down to a cellular level. If it works for battle-scarred vets, can it work for you? Well, experience it for yourself for free at sweetwholetones.com. Like Tony Sweet, that's SWEET. Go to sweetwholetones.com. Now enjoy the show.
United States Pharmacopoeia, USP, sets the standard for most food supplements and are used in over 95% of all vitamin and mineral supplements in the world. The problem is that these products have never appeared in any living tissue. They're created in laboratories and are not recognizable to the body's metabolism. Grown by Nature products are different because they use renatured ingredients, proprietary blends of essential vitamins and minerals, with cofactors of proteins, lipids, and complex carbohydrates. Over 50 studies have been conducted on renatured nutrients, and over 20 have been published in peer-reviewed journals proclaiming their superiority. As a result, Grown by Nature vitamins and supplements are now recognized as simply the best available. Call 877-817-9829. That's 877-817-9829 and order your Grown by Nature products today. We are what we eat, and since we are of nature, we should eat foods in their natural form. Only Grown by Nature offers a full line of renatured nutrients. Call 877-817-9829. That's 877-817-9829 because not all products are grown by nature, but they should be.
All right.
Right, we're back here on Truth Be Told on the one and only ubnradio.com. And if you haven't subscribed to this this simulcast, please do so on the YouTube page. But today is an exclusive special episode of Truth Be Told. We have the world-renowned researcher, Professor James Fetzer, who's joining us today on the whole Hillary is dead theory. The whole Hillary has a body double. But Jim, we're going to take a call, and actually we have media analyst Mickey Manning joining us, who's got a question for Mr. Fetzer. Mickey, welcome to the episode here, simulcast. Is she there?
She sure is.
She was here. We were just speaking. She and I were just speaking.
Oh, wonderful.
I see her.
Well, we'll just get out of the way. Mickey, you got a question for Mr. Fetzer here.
Can you see me?
We sure can.
We sure can. Shoot.
Right, hello. We were just talking, actually, we were my question was, he and I were discussing how many people it could have truly taken to create a voice double, a body double. There is such a master plan here to involve this many people that they would recruit and find in almost a Secret Service type situation to stay quiet. What is the master plan that would make her willing to run in this health state, but then for all of this intricacy of layers to be masking a bigger agenda?
Well, it appears to be the politics of the situation. Roughly speaking, Hillary is a candidate of the establishment on both the left and on the right. She is, in my opinion, the candidate of the CIA. And they are going out to use every technique they have at their disposal in order to promote her into the White House. If she then expires, they evidently selected Tim Kaine with a great deal of filtering to figure that he'd be the perfect guy to replace her. We know he's all for the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We know he's all for Wall Street. Hillary, of course, is the same. We have over 45 statements of her endorsing the TPP. Although she, claimed because of the criticism from the left that she was no longer fan. That appears to be completely false, merely a subterfuge, where she's even described it as the gold standard of trade agreements. What most Americans do not know is that with the TPP, we lose our sovereignty. It creates a panel of international corporate attorneys who have the right to override the laws and statutes of any of the 14 Pacific Rim nations, thereby subsumed, including the Constitution of the United States. So the TPP is passed. We're no longer a sovereign nation. Somehow Brock just hasn't mentioned that to the American people.
Incredible. And Tony, why don't we give that call-in number one more time, just in case there's, the audience wants to call in, because I know I got a lot of questions for Mr. Fetzer, and this is just amazing what we're hearing today on Truth Be Told.
It is 323-284-7826, 323-284-7826. Give us a call.
Let me mention a couple other aspects of the current state of technology. You can find videos out there where you have somebody sitting in a chair like George W. Bush. And here's a guy in another chair, and when he makes a facial feature, raises an eyebrow, George W. Bush makes a facial feature, raises an eyebrow. I mean, there's a perfect correlation. It's obvious the individual in the chair is controlling the image that's being projected. And we all know there's a delay between the actual filming of a scene and it's being broadcast on television. That made a difference on 9/11, it would appear. Another form of technology, of course, is simple photoshopping. Hillary has been polling only like 150 to some of her events when Trump has been polling 15,000. So Jeff Rentz has a study he put up about why we have a whole bunch of people in the audience and the 5 or 6 cameras, smart cameras taking images, but the images do not correspond to what is going on the stage. And he reasonably inferred that's because they were photoshopping the spectators to impose them to make it look like Hillary had a big crowd when she did not.
And you're talking about the Greensboro rally that she had shortly after her collapse the other day. Is that what we're talking about? How people say it's green screened?
That one, but I'm telling you, there seems to be a lot of that going on. I mean,
sure.
the media has become absolutely hysterical in attacking Trump and giving Hillary not just every benefit of the doubt, but actually ignoring these issues about her health. We had a guy named Seaman who was writing for the Huffington Post.
David Seaman.
He put out an article about her health, and they fired him from Huffington Post. They canceled his posting privilege. We had this Dr. Pinsky on
Drew Pinsky. Dr.
PBS.
Dr.
He had
Drew.
a show, a very popular show, and he was talking about Hillary's health. And the CNN demanded that he retract his observations, which were, let me say, perfectly well-founded. And they fired him. They canceled his show 9 days later. I mean, the power here that the Clintons are exerting to keep this issue of her health out of the mainstream media is just dumbfounding.
Well, then I want to ask you this, because if seriously, I'm just trying to be the neutral one here, is how if they have so much power, which they do, when we can't deny that, how does Trump even have a chance then?
Because, I mean, they're giving, the poll results have shown that Trump has polled even. I mean, you must have noticed.
Oh, I've seen it.
Trump, my sincere assessment is that, and we've had these reports for a long time, that the polls were being rigged, giving Hillary a 9-point lead, even when the Donald was ahead of her in the past. Mm-hmm. I think he's clearly ahead of her now, and that the reason we had this fakery about Russia trying to intervene with our elections, which is simply absurd. Homeland Security said it was going to step in and manage our election. Well, that's just to rig the whole election right there in front of God and everybody. I mean, I can't imagine anything worse. My understanding is that the laws governing elections actually won't allow it to happen, but it's not for lack of trying. That would have been the perfect solution to the problem. You see, election theft is much more common than voter fraud. You hear a lot of talk about voter fraud. Well, that's trivial. That's one person voting more than once or voting in the wrong district. That hardly ever happens. Election theft using electronic voting machines is very common. In fact, when Scott Walker ran for re-election here in Wisconsin, I could see it coming. They put out a phony poll suggesting he was leading Mary Burke, the Democrat. They'd had Michelle Obama here twice, Barack here, even the big dog Bill Clinton. There was tremendous enthusiasm on the Democratic side, none on the Republican. And yet he wound up winning by just the margin that was predicted in the poll of 53 to 47. How did it happen? Well, I reached out to a brilliant statistician who's published 2 books about election theft. His name is Richard Charnon. We co-authored an article entitled Voter Fraud versus Election Theft, Scott Walker's Wisconsin Re-Election, where he pointed out to me that in order to steal these elections, you got to go to where the votes are. In this case, the biggest bastion of Democratic support was Milwaukee County. And there was the anomaly there with regard to the vote in Milwaukee County that the greater the number of votes that were cast, the greater the percentage that went to the Republican candidate. This is the bastion of Democratic support. Michelle's been here twice, Barack, Bill Clinton. I'm telling you, they're just blatant about it. And in fact, when Charnon and I discussed it, he said he'd determined that 5 different elections in Wisconsin had been stolen electronically, beginning with Scott Walker's recall election. I was among, and my family members, the hundreds of thousands who were there protesting for his recall after he gutted the public unions here in Wisconsin. Sure. No one wanted Scott Walker to remain, and yet he survived. And he survived his reelection. And when there was the primary pitting Donald Trump against Ted Cruz, I looked at that and I said, this is very, very bizarre, because the way it came in, Cruz was winning across the state. In fact, they had a 20-point flip where Trump had been ahead by 10 points and all of a sudden he was behind by 10 points. Think about it. That's simply absurd. And nothing would cause that short of a nuclear attack. And Trump supporters tend not to change their minds. But when it all came in, the official tab had Ted Cruz beating Donald Trump. I actually found another polling survey in the 8 districts of Wisconsin that showed Trump in every single district. And this is right up to the time of the election, had a huge lead. I mean, it was like 63 to 37 against Cruz. And yet, because they had rigged it, it was given to the Donald. And I think that was very cleverly contrived. It was going to be a period of time several weeks before the New York election. It was going to create a negative impression. You had these right-wing talk show hosts claiming credit when they had nothing to do with it. It was simple election theft.
Right. Well, Jim, we only have about a little less than 10 minutes or so. I want to get to these points because I want to get to what is the end game here? Are they going to continue to go with Hillary, or some people like Roger Stone, Trump's guy, is saying that they're going to substitute Hillary last minute for Michelle Obama? Or are they going to put in a perverted Joe Biden in there? Or what is the next phase in this? Number one. And number two, let me just ask you real quick, what can people do? What is the solution to this? Is it to not vote for the election coming up in November, or is it to vote for Donald Trump? What would be the solution? So number one, what is their end game with this whole Hillary debacle? And number two, what can people listening to this right now do for a solution?
Well, the catch with Biden is he appears to have an unusual interest in young children. And we've even got new footage of him talking to some 13-year-old girl, telling her how he feels horny. Well, that's certainly unacceptable to the public.
Yeah.
That would make a hell of a campaign ad. And with Michelle, we got a very peculiar problem. Joan Rivers alluded to it just before her untimely death.
Yes, she did.
Because there are plenty of these videos where you see Michelle dancing, and she has a package where she should not have a package. And someone I was on a show said, well, the American people don't care if somebody's transgender or whatever. I said, but listen, think about it. That means that both of their kids are adopted and that Brock is gay. That follows from Michelle. And there are a lot of people who've done a huge amount of research on this. Michelle was actually Michael and used to play football. If you analyze the body build and all that, it's really not that of a woman. I happen to like Michelle Obama as a personality, but if she's going to run politics, it's going to be hardball. And I said when she was proposed before, it'll be the shortest campaign in history.
So you think she's the replacement, or are we going with?
No, they're going with Hillary.
They're going with Meryl Streep and Meg Ryan.
The only viable alternative they would have is Bernie Sanders.
I was going to say,
And-
I was going to ask that.
And Bernie is opposed to the TPP. He wants to end these wars in the Middle East. He and Donald actually overlap on those two issues, which is why I have believed that in the end, many Bernie Sanders supporters are going to go to support Trump. But Trump is the guy they fear. The demonization of Trump has been unprecedented. Listen, I voted for Bill Clinton twice. I voted for Barack Obama twice. But I'm a truth guy. And when I see deception and fraud on this order, I have to speak out about it. And there's been a host of these issues since my retirement in 2006 that have been intended to deceive the American people, including Sandy Hook. The Boston bombing, I was amused. They bring out the pressure cooker bombs. We had the police on bullhorns calling out, "This is a drill. This is a drill." We had the Boston Globe tweeting that there would be a demonstration bomb set off during the marathon for the benefit of bomb squad activities. A second tweet said one would be set off in 1 minute in front of the library. 1 minute later, it goes off in front of the Boston Public Library. Those bombs were puff pieces. I'm a former artillery officer in the Marine Corps. They didn't have enough explosive force to kill anyone.
Jim, what about the recent bombing? Speaking of that just happened in New York a few days ago. Another pressure cooker. Is that in response to you think people waking up to the fake Hillary, or is that something else?
Well, this is the faking of the Boston bombing. When you zoom in through the smoke, you found people lying there with missing arms and legs, but there was no blood. As Lorraine Day, who is the chief of trauma surgery at San Francisco General Hospital for 25 years, observed, it's physiologically impossible for them to have limbs blown off and there be no blood. The whole pressure cooker thing was a fraud. That case was actually cracked by the alternative media. The very night, Kraft International employees wearing khaki trousers, black jackets, black baseball caps with a skull insignia, where the motto of Kraft is violence does solve problems, cracked that case the very night. The two bombs that exploded there were in black nylon backpacks. We see a Kraft International guy going toward the location. He's wearing a black nylon backpack. These happen to have a white square on it. The one that exploded had a white square on it. Then he's rushing away, no longer wearing it. The fact is that they photoshopped the presence of the brothers there, but they didn't do it right. Neither of them is wearing a black nylon backpack. The whole thing was a charade.
Right. Jim, we're running out of time. So real quick, the solution would, you're saying, because I asked about the solution, would it be to somebody look at Trump a second time or not vote at all?
Oh, at 100%. I mean, look, if this guy has the establishment on both sides panic-stricken, if you got all the warmongers, you got all the neocons opposed to him, this guy is going to make changes. This guy's going to bring a new broom. He's going to sweep things. He's going to really make a difference. I'm utterly convinced of that, which is the reason why, although I have supported the Clintons and Obama in the past, I support Donald Trump. I think he's the right candidate for our time. It's an incredible situation. But just imagine how brazen it is to have a major party attempting to deceive the American public by putting out body doubles and voice doubles to give the impression that their candidate is wealthy and doing well. In fact, that's what I love about this one photograph where you see the two of them. It says, "We can all breathe a sigh of relief. Hillary's body double is in good health."
Hey, Jim, in the last minute, we got about 1 minute left. Where can people follow you? I know you got a new book out. So what's a good website to keep up to date with all the great work that you're doing right now?
Well, you can jamesfetzer.blogspot.com for my blogs, Moonrock Books, where I have 5 books and more are coming, including one on Orlando, Dallas, and Hillary, and the Raw Deal, which is on Tuesday and Thursday on rentsradio.com it would be from 5 to 6 Pacific time. That's 7 to 8 Central and 8 to 9 Eastern. Those would be good places to go.
Wow. Tony, I mean, I'm
amazing. Well, you're definitely a man that does his research and very passionate about what you're what you're talking about, and that makes a difference. And I think that's why you do so well with what you're doing. So thank you so much for being a part of Truth Be Told. We really hope you come back. We have
That would be my great pleasure. I'm very glad you featured me when it's timely and could actually make a difference. The American people have to wake up and see what's actually going on, because the media aren't going to tell you. I congratulate you for featuring me to discuss this subject.
Mr. Fetzer, it's an honor to have you on. Let's keep in touch. Let's talk offline. And our audience is very receptive to this kind of information.
Oh, okay. Yes, of course.
You got to ask questions, Tony. And Jim, thank you for coming on.
We're going to give you some cheesy canned applause.
In real.
My pleasure, Dean. My pleasure, Tony.
All right.
Thank you both.
All right. Take care. Take care, sir.
Well, Captain Ron.
Let's keep going.
You're the news guy. Help me here.
Well, we talked about the beginning with the conspiracies about Hillary. Well, we got
to
some
be
time.
fair.
Let's be fair and go over and talk about the Trump ones.
Okay, let's be fair.
Before Trump even got into this race, he was quite the conspiracy theorist himself. He's had something with Alex Jones. I don't know if he wrote to him or he's been on posting. There's something historically back with Alex Jones. And if you listen to, I'm just going to give you a couple of quick quotes here. And some of these are before he even started running. It could have been Alex Jones that said this, who's obviously a big conspiratorial guy. Trump says, November 8th, we better be careful because that election is going to be rigged. Wow.
So if he wins, is it rigged?
Right. Well, then is it not rigged? That's a good question.
I think what they're referring to, and I'm just being psychic for a minute, is when the elections are really close, they're easy to rig. You have to win by a landslide. You got to win by a landslide, like Trump was doing with Theodore Cruz.
He said that people are going to walk in there and they're going to vote, 5, 10 times, maybe more. Who knows?
Oh, we can do that?
That's what he says. Okay. Then he said Hillary Clinton created ISIS with Obama. Well, that's pretty conspiratorial for him to say that, right? And then that great one was when he said he was on Fox and Friends, and he said that when he was running with Cruz still, and he said that his father was Lee Harvey Oswald, was with him in that picture in the National Enquirer, and they kind of tied Cruz's dad into the murder of JFK by saying he had dinner or whatever with that guy, with Oswald.
I've seen the photo.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the guy who gave that photo originally, dead in the stairwell. We covered it on the show.
Is that right?
Yep.
Well, there you go.
Dead in the stairwell.
And the day after he got the nomination, he said the National Enquirer is a credible news source worthy of a Pulitzer Prize.
They can be. They were the one that uncovered the Edwards, John Edwards
That's
affair.
Right. They did. That was a legitimate thing.
They've done some very credible
work. He said that they wouldn't have run the photo if it was wrong.
Yeah, they could be sued. If that was my father, and I'm like,
and
that's
pregnant
not my
Hillary
father.
with alien baby.
I'd have come out and gone crazy immediately.
Well, I mean,
well, just because it's him in the photo doesn't mean he had anything to do with JFK's death. Is the point? I think.
Sure, but why is the guy dead? The guy.
Well, that's
maybe he fell. I'm just kidding.
Where were you in that story? No,
you're right. Well,
Trump, don't forget, was also one of the leading Obama birthers. He was all behind the.
I thought Hillary started that. I'm just kidding.
That's another show, Tony.
She questioned. Okay. She questioned.
Now let's talk about the conspiracy theories that are about Trump. Number one.
Oh, here we go.
He's running a false flag campaign for Hillary.
I've thought
said
that.
you felt that. You felt that in the beginning, right?
We've tickled with the idea once.
I thought it from day one, but yeah.
But now I'm starting to think. I don't think that's the case.
I think maybe it started out that way.
Well, it's still out there. He said there's a lot of photos of them online being buddy with the Clintons and everything, donating money to them. And now he's running against them. So that's something to think about.
Yeah.
Another one out there is that he's actually got brain damage or early onset dementia.
I don't think he does.
Some of these outlandish comments,
I know people with that. Some of them
I know people with that too.
Some of them in this room, but anyway.
They say that he's a sociopath, which they've diagnosed on TV.
Well, I think you have to be a politician. Or radio host.
And then there's people that say this, and this kind of seemed like this makes sense to me, that in the beginning he ran almost as a gag. Like he did this. He's always talked about running.
I don't think he knew he would ever get this far.
Exactly. 20 years. I mean, he used to dance around teasing people that maybe he's going to run, maybe he's going to run. And then next thing you know, maybe he did this for ratings or attention or publicity, and then stepped down and, just to kind of get his name out there. Then all of a sudden, it's a different political landscape, and now he's got some traction, and now it's too far to go back. You and I have talked about that. I think that could be what happened, how he got this far.
That's why I think he never answered anything, because he thought, I'm not going to make it that far, so why should I have to answer? And then it's like, oh, shit, now I got to answer.
And, while you're over there, if there's any way you could tone down the bright lights a little bit, they're hurting Dean's eyes a little bit. But anyway.
Is Ron still here?
One more. This one's a little more out there. People say that he's a Russian operative. They said if you Google this one comes up a lot. Just take a look online and Google this. Is Donald Trump a Russian operative? And you'll get tons of responses. Yeah. There's a lot of major, serious media companies that have covered this. They think maybe Putin put him in there. And then you got his daughter is spotted on vacation with Putin's girlfriend just recently.
Hey, is Hillary Clinton a Israeli operative? Is Wolf Blitzer an Israeli operative? Yeah, let's talk about Zionists.
Listen, here the point, ladies and gentlemen, is if you read it online, it's probably true, right?
Sure.
Unless
if
it's
you
CNN
see it online,
or Fox,
it's true.
Or if you hear it here on Truth Be Told.
Now, if you hear it on Truth Be Told, that's another story altogether.
What about Rachel Maddow?
What about her?
She's truthful.
Could be.
Okay.
What do you think?
This is what I think. We have a few minutes, right?
We have about a minute.
Okay. In conclusion, in this whole thing, I think there's some validity. What Professor Fetzer was saying here, it does look a little like a few different people. The woman is clearly extremely ill. It's not pneumonia, as we talked about in a show ago.
Absolutely.
And Tony, I'm questioning reality right now, and I'm relooking at this whole election entirely with different lenses on. Seriously.
Literally and figuratively, folks.
So what say Tony Sweet, and then take us out.
Well, I think this was a great show. I think it was great information. Again, Truth Be Told is all about, it may be not your truth, but your truth will get your curiosity. Go out and check it for yourself. Do your own research, make up your own mind, and I think that's what we're doing our show for.
Perfect.
So, on that said, we thank you guys for tuning in every Monday and Friday, and we want to wish you guys a great week. Come back. Actually, we won't be back next week, but we will be back in 2. We may do a news segment during the week.
Some specials coming up.
And some specials from Las Vegas. That might be a good one.
Yep.
But check us out on YouTube. Please subscribe, leave comments. We want to hear what you guys have to say. Check us out on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and other locations. Go to truthbetoldwebtv.com, and we appreciate you. And until next time, we will see you then. All right. We're out. Bye.
Bye.